I disrespected you, so I will go with Wicked this time. What did you call
Kidding. Hello and welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject wherever you want, but please don't forget to rewind. I'm Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And Annmarie, what did you just go do over the weekend?
Oh, yes, I'm a world traveler, everyone. Now, me and my roommate recently went to New York City, and we got to see a couple of shows, The Outsiders and, drumroll, Wicked.
Yeah, and for all you guys who don't know, we had mentioned that we have never seen the musical Wicked before when we were reviewing the movie of it, and so Annmarie, did her little spontaneous trip.
Yes, it was 36 hours.
She couldn't pack me in her luggage.
I could not.
Suffocation be damned.
Oh, sorry.
What do you think of the musical play that everyone is willing to die for called Wicked?
I know people are not gonna like me again because, you guys, it's just okay. Like, visually, it's very cool. The costumes are really cool. Amazing to go see in New York City. Mm-hmm. And we got to see the 25th Alphaba, the actress. She was the 25th Alphaba. So that was really cool. But it really didn't do much for me. I think it made me like the movie more because the movie gives more context. But again, the movie's longer than the play. But I wasn't impressed at all. And I told Ethan I was going to make a video, and I decided not to because I really don't have much to say anymore. And I'm sorry.
How dare you apologize for having an opinion?
Well, I just know, people really like the second act of Wicked, and in my opinion, you really don't need the second act of Wicked. I don't think any of the songs are better than Defying Gravity and Popular. I know people love For Good, but it just didn't really do anything for me. And so, again, come at me in the comments. I get it. I'm an idiot. I'm wrong, but it's fine.
Wow, you keep defying all expectations.
I really do. This is gonna suck when part 2 comes out.
Who knows? Could be better.
It could be.
Yeah, but other than that, fun time in New York?
Oh, so fun. If you ever get a chance to go see The Outsiders, amazing musical, and go to New York. I didn't see any rats, so I was very happy.
Poor Splinter.
Oh, gosh. I'm so scared of rats.
Without further ado here, let's get into our topics for the day. Annmarie, obviously at the end of this all, we are going to be talking about the wonderful, biggest night in all of Hollywood that happens with absolutely no aspect of controversy ever involved. The Oscars.
Yes.
But before we do that, there were a couple of stories that dropped recently that we just have to cover.
We have to.
We have to talk about it. But since it revolves around my baby Star Wars, and Annmarie, what would we be fast forwarding on to start off with first?
I think this goes hand in hand because one might lead into the other, but let's start off with Andor Season 2. Its trailer came out. It's coming out in April, which is incredible. I was thinking second half of 2025, so I'm very happy it's first half of 2025. And the trailer looks really good, actually.
Yeah, it looks brilliant. A lot of people were talking about how they didn't like the music, the usage of rock and roll and all that. I'm like, I don't know. It's very refreshing, and considering what the heart of Andor is, of course I wouldn't want that playing when the show is going on, but for a trailer to give you a vibe of what the spirit of it is about, I'm like, heck yeah, Star Wars and rock and roll. I'm here for it.
And honestly, for a lot of people, Andor is the last good thing that Star Wars has done recently. And so I get the hype for it. I wasn't the biggest fan of season 1, but I know you loved it. You were yelling at me and Steven, basically why didn't you guys like it?
Yelling softly, but yes.
Yes, yelling. But overall, I am really excited for this because I miss Star Wars. I really do. And Tony Gilroy
Yep.
is involved. I'm really excited for him to get back into the chair. He really seems like he knows what he's doing, which Star Wars kind of needs right now. So
He's
yeah.
like the significant other we all want. He knows what he wants.
He knows what he wants and he's going to go get it. Z formation.
Amen. So yeah, I mean that everything that showed up in there too, like again the practical sets, the lack of, or I don't think they use the volume at all in that show, and it shows. It shows that they don't really rely on that, default that Lucasfilm has seemed to just fall back on, and it's very, like I had mentioned before, refreshing, and I think this combination of rock and roll and Star Wars is just the perfect emblem of what this season 2 is going to be all about. And it's 1-2 season done. This thing was only made to be a short sprint, a quality one at that, but still a short sprint. So we're not going to be getting a season 3 or anything of the sorts. So it has a story to tell with a definitive beginning, middle, and end, and I like that about this.
And I hope they stick to that too, because Lucasfilm isn't the greatest at planning, so I do hope they know when to stop the story.
Yeah, but speaking of a lack of planning...
Oh, man. With every high, like Andor, there's always a low, and that is Miss Kathleen Kennedy.
All right. Before we get into this,
yes.
though, let's just say, though, Kathleen Kennedy, as a producer, excellent.
Amazing.
Top tier, one of the best to ever do it.
She has Jurassic Park. She has Schindler's List. She has...
you just pull up the whole IMDb resume, and you're like, dang, like, you have to take a pull afterwards and be like, oh man, that was good. That was some good content right there.
And she also has Steven Spielberg backing her, saying she is the best producer in the world, like Hall of Fame.
Yes. However, as the head of Lucasfilm, no.
It's unfortunate.
Yes.
It really is. And I don't think it's entirely to blame on her. But when you lead a ship, you go down with the ship, too.
The buck stops somewhere, right? Yeah. And, especially if you're... It's one thing if a basketball team is playing basketball, right? And you lose the game. But if you put, like, effort into it and you can see that the team is at least trying to stay in the game, it's like, well, I'm glad I at least watched it. It felt like a good use of my time. Here, it felt more like one of those blowouts where it's just like the team could not figure out its mistakes and learn from them to keep up with its opponent. And Kathleen Kennedy was just constantly blown out and would not learn from her mistakes. Mm-hmm. And granted, was she the only one to do that at Lucasfilm? No, but like we had mentioned, the buck stops somewhere, and at Lucasfilm, it stops with her.
So, what are we talking about? Well, there is a rumor going around, not confirmed yet, that Kathleen Kennedy is out at the end of 2025. And I believe this rumor. I think this is pretty true. I think there was a rumor a couple years ago saying that she was going to be gone at the end of 2023. Then we had the Iger Shapek kind of, why can't I say that word, conundrum. And I think they wanted to keep everything kind of similar till Iger kind of got back to it, but it is time for her to go.
Yeah, and while I do have a strong feeling this time around it's going to be, she's going to be leaving. In the recent past, like, was it 2023 or even last year, there were some reliable reports of, oh, she's out. Like, people have been hearing from the inside, oh, she's out, like, at the end of this year or at the end of this year. She's still been in there. And it might be more so just because of, like, where they want her to part ways with the company, like, where... Because initially, it was going to be with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
And with how that performed, it was a little bit of a kerfuffle within itself. So yeah, they might be waiting for like an Andor season 2 or a Mandalorian and Grogu situation to guarantee her a, positive bookend to it all.
Who, if the rumors are true, who would you want to replace Kathleen Kennedy?
It's hard to say because we have yet to see how that model works with DC with the James Gunn and Peter Safran.
Yes.
Which I think is a genius idea where you have the businessman, working the business side of things and James Gunn working the creative side of things, but they're both equals. I think that's great. However, we haven't really seen it fully work in practice quite yet on that level, so I can't really full-heartedly say that. However, if we were to kind of pick one person, I would probably go with someone that has a better idea of the business of Star Wars, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what helped it succeed other than the storytelling, was like all the toy sales and like the marketing that led up to it, like to really give people context as to what this movie's about. I mean, I think the novelization of the movie came out before the movie itself. So, that's kind of stuff helps Star Wars be Star Wars and to keep it at a level where it can be Star Wars and we can get great storytelling with great filmmakers and keep that consistency, because a strong, well-versed businessman will realize that, not always, but for the most part, they will realize that, hey, if I want these toys to sell well, if I want these books to sell well, I got to make the best, I got to get the right people in the right place to make the best product that we can make here.
And I think you're totally right. We haven't seen the James Gunn, Peter Safran situation work out. Seems like a great idea. But for everyone that's just saying, just have Dave Filoni run it. Well, you guys, Dave Filoni's a great writer, right? But we might be in the same situation if we have Dave Filoni do it as Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy, great producer, not a great leader of a business. Dave Filoni, great writer. Who knows if he would be a great CEO of Star Wars? So I agree with you. I think if they're going to do that model, Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau is a perfect pick. But pick someone else who is also business-minded in that sense, because I don't want to be stuck in the same situation. Like, I really don't want this to be a DC situation anymore.
Yeah. And you also don't want to be a Chapek situation where it's like, where it's too, like, a good businessman until they don't realize what made that business succeed, that particular business succeed. Once he had the power over all the other branches he typically didn't have power over. So, I mean, who's to say? I mean, it might be someone we don't even know. It might be a no-name.
Kevin Feige? No, I'm kidding.
I've never heard of the guy.
Oh, yeah. He's got his own universe to work out.
What, like Archie and Friends?
Yes.
No. But I just hope they get someone, well-minded and just is able to do the job to the best of their ability and realize how special what they have truly is. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. But with that, guys, what are your thoughts on this whole situation? Whether it be with Andor Season 2, the trailer that dropped, are you guys excited for it? Were you disappointed by Season 1? Was it a drag for you? Were you enthralled by Season 1 and you're so hyped for this beyond belief? What do you think of the musical pairing with the rock and roll and Star Wars? I loved it. I don't know what you guys think. And then also with Kathleen Kennedy, are you guys truly believing this report that she's on her way out? Or are you kind of on the fence saying, we've heard this before, I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing? Whatever you guys are thinking, let us know your takes on our tapes in those comments down below. And with that, Annmarie, what are we fast forwarding on to next year?
There's something special happening on Sunday. Something very special that only comes a year around the sun. The Oscars are this Sunday. And if you know anything about Ethan and I, we've been watching the Oscars together for almost, I think this is our 5th year together. I'm so excited. I love Oscar season. I get it. Not everyone likes it, but I love it. So I'm just so pumped for this season because truly, it's anyone's game, in my opinion.
Amelia Perez is going to win it all.
Okay, well...
No, kidding.
Don't yell at us. I don't think this is a clear-cut year like last year with Oppenheimer or the year before that, but Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is such a unique time, and really, like, there's like 5 best pictures, in my opinion, that could win, and I'm just excited to go through the nominations today, so.
Yep, and guys, that's exactly what we are going to be doing. Going through all these nominations, giving our predictions, and the way we're going to be doing it is we will say who we think should win and who we want to win.
Yes.
And then also who should be on there so they could win. You'll understand that when we get to it.
Please note, we have not seen every single movie, so just a note there. And also, we're not going to go over every single category as well.
But if you have seen every single movie, my gosh, all credit to you.
Yell at us.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm into that.
Oh.
But let us know what your thoughts would be. Like, again, your takes on our tapes in those comments down below with, like, because I'd be genuinely curious to see someone's take on if they've seen all these movies. Mm-hmm. That's impressive within itself.
Oh, yeah.
So, shout out to you, person I don't know. But anyway, without a further ado, let's get started here. And we are going to get started with visual effects. Annmarie, care to list off the nominees?
Yes, so this year for visual effects, we have Alien Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked.
All right. So, personally, I would love if Dune Part 2 won.
Yes, same.
Now, as to who will win, it's kind of a toss-up for me.
Wait, really?
Between Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Dune.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, great movie, but something that was like these movies just do better and better on as they go on is just this how they handle the CGI of like the monkey fur and like the ape fur and like all these different aspects, and it like their blending of what's real, what isn't, and sometimes you kind of forget, especially with that one scene with like the water and the orangutan in the river, like that was crazy, like how they were able to do that so seamlessly. It's just incredible how many feats they were able to conquer with that movie on a visual effect level.
But they don't have sandworms.
So what, Tremors should win?
Yes.
For everything?
No, I agree. I think Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, visually, it's like outstanding what they've been able to do. And I swear, it looks better and better and better every time we get one of these new movies in the franchise. But Dune, and again, I'm trying to take my bias out, but I can't. It's amazing. Like, visually, it's so cool. But if it's gonna be anything, it's gonna be one of those two, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's. I'll stick with it's a toss-up, but however, I think with how shafted Dune Part 2 has been, these nominations, they might kind of compensate and give it to where, like, if there was a toss-up, it would go to Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
So I'll probably stick with Dune Part 2 for should win. Dune Part 2 will win.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
All right. So moving on to the next nomination here, that would be sound.
Yeah, so we have A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. This one's interesting.
I don't see, this is one of those ones from like, Amelia Perez, really? Like, again, we like the movie Amelia Perez. Like, that's something that's just fact. You can go check our review at when we saw it before all the controversy came out about it. But it still does not deserve all these nominations it's getting, and some of them that's getting are very confounding.
It's definitely kind of a weird slot for it, I would say. But yeah, I agree on that, so.
But with sound, I have got to give it to Dune Part 2. for want to win, and then also will win Dune Part 2.
I hate to copy you, but I'm on the same page. I truly think they feel bad for what they did later on, as we're going to discuss it. But I think Dune Part 2, maybe a sleeper pick is Wicked, in my opinion, too. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Wicked, but if I were to pick like a penultimate runner-up, I'd probably say probably The Wild Robot.
I'm so happy they're on here.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a wonderful movie, and the sound is incredible in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised or too down in the dumps if that one won.
Yeah.
But definitely would be shaking my head if Emilia Perez won that one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Next up here, we got production design.
Yeah, so we have The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked.
Wow, okay, so this one is primarily between three different ones for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it would be Doom Part 2, for obvious reasons,
Yes.
Nosferatu, and Wicked. And the main reason I put Nosferatu on there is because when you see how the sets look like from the camera's perspective, like you truly believe they're there.
Mm-hmm.
When you see it like outside, like from behind the scenes footage, it looks so flat and looks so like small in comparison that it's kind of like old school Hollywood a bit, where it's like a playing with perspective with practical effects. And I really do have a little soft spot for stuff like that. But generally, Nosferatu's production design really aids its cinematography and editing with how they do transitions and really immersing you in the world.
Yeah.
So that one I think really works significantly. But Wicked is so impressive. But gosh darn it, I want... Okay.
Well, I'll say this. I actually think Nosferatu is going to win this.
Really?
Yeah, I want Dune Part 2, but from the visuals that I have seen, I think it's definitely has this one in the bag. I think it's also more Oscar worthy. I'm putting quotation marks around that. So I honestly think Nosferatu is going to win this.
Okay. I would have to say, because again, Nosferatu relies, its production design kind of has like a symbiotic relationship with the other aspects, like I mentioned, the cinematography and editing, for it to truly all work together. So I think what will win is Doom Part 2. What should win is Doom Part 2.
All right, there we go.
So moving along here, we got Best Original Song. Annmarie, care to list this out without, completely butchering any names whatsoever?
Stop! I'm gonna butcher all of these. I'm so sorry. El Mal from Emilia Perez, The Journey from the Sits 888, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, My Kamano from Emilia Perez, and Never Too Late from Elton John, Never Too Late.
So close. Mi Camino.
Oh, sorry. I didn't take Spanish in high school. I wish I did.
You got everything else, though.
Thank you.
But...
This is the one where, I know you guys, this is the one where I think Emilia Perez might win.
Yeah, I will have to agree with you. I mean, it's already got all these nominations from the people that are voting for it, that vote in the second round after the nominations are announced. And you can't really overcompensate for this one, especially when it has 2 nominations.
However, I did say Sing Sing, and I like a Bird, but I just don't think it's strong enough to win it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's a shoo-in for Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
The question is, which song from Emilia Perez? El Mal or Mi Camino?
I remember Mi Camino a little bit more, so I'm going to go with that one.
Okay, I'm going to go with... I believe El Mal was the one that has been winning, right?
Yes.
Like in other awards? Yeah, I'll probably go with that one as will win. Should win, in my opinion, between the two is, I think, Mi Camino.
Yeah.
All right. One of my favorite awards of the night, Best Original Score. Annmarie, list these out.
The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. Kind of similar, I would say, to some other categories that we've had. But this one's going to be interesting because you finally have Amelia Perez and Wicked going up against each other, and people are going to flip if Wicked doesn't win. I do think Wicked will win this, though.
Nope.
What?
Nuh-uh.
Whoa.
Well, first, before we get into my prediction here, you know who should be on this list?
Who?
A certain composer
Oh.
who is part of one of the greatest movies of the past decade.
I know. I'm already upset. I got over my sadness, and you just brought it back again, so now I'm more sad.
Good. It should not be forgotten that Hans Zimmer, for his Doom Part 2 score, is not on this list, and it still irks the heck out of me.
I just don't get it, especially because
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny came out the year before. It was nominated for an Oscar, even though they made that stupid rule the year prior, and it probably uses more themes and motifs than Doom Part 2 does from Doom Part 1. Sorry, I was assuming that's what you were going to say.
Yes.
I could be wrong.
Exactly. No, but it is a disappointment because truly, like, guys, Hans Zimmer would have won this category.
He won the Grammy for it.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
so
come on.
it's fine.
No, it's not.
It's not, but I will just, you know what? Wicked fans, I've disrespected you, so I will go with Wicked this time. What did you call it?
Kidding.
Am I gonna have to bleep that?
Probably. But anyway, definitely bleep that. I'm gonna have to go with, between our crazy wonderful choices here, Brutalist. I think The Brutalist is such a win for musical composition that it really feels like it achieves everything it seeks to do. Mm-hmm. It's gregarious and bombastic when it needs to be, to make you feel like you're in like a war refugee immigrant coming to America, and you see this country for the first time after being on a boat for so long, that completely dark, and then that music hits and you see the Statue of Liberty upside down, and it feels almost like a hint of George Gershwin's what's it called, Rhapsody in Blue in there, and it's just so magnificent, and it gets sad when it needs to. Hell, the music during the intermission is nice, and it kind of is like weird like it comes in intermittently throughout the intermission, mm-hmm. but for some reason it works and it's pleasant like that, even during that 15-minute, or if you're watching on VOD, 5-minute intermission. And altogether, it's a wonderful, magnificent piece that I would actually go see, or go to like a concert, without the movie playing, and just listen to that music in concert. Mm-hmm. So I will say will win is The Brutalist, should win Doom Part 2. But out of the nominations, The Brutalist.
We're not bitter at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Never. Anyway, let's move on to our, second round of With Our Lack of Bitterness. That would be makeup and hairstyling.
Yeah, so we have A Different Man, Amelia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. Why is Amelia Perez on this? I'm sorry.
I mean, maybe for hairstyling, but even then, it just feels like it's people's hair.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it just seems like by default, if there's a musical, it's like, well, we got to nominate it for like some other stuff too that isn't music.
Yeah.
But with Wicked, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because, it's in a fantasy world, and like there's, one of the characters is straight up green, and like all, you got Munchkins, you got the Oz, the Emerald City. I mean, like the whole shebang with Wicked, and I think it will win. Actually, I'm back and forth with what will win with The Substance or Wicked, because The Substance did such a great job, especially with that unique finale. You know what? I'm gonna have to go with The Substance on it, just based on how they wrapped up the movie towards the end.
I was kind of shocked that you were going to say Wicked right away, because I'm like, The Substance? What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, it's just like with how the Oscars are viewing Wicked, it's like I wouldn't be surprised if they did it, but I think what should win is probably The Substance. What will win? I'm not sure if they're going to move away from Wicked. I really am not, but we'll stick with the substance for both of them.
I'm sticking with the substance for both of them. I do think it's got both of them in locked. I think people might be upset if Wicked doesn't win this, but if you've seen the substance, you know that ending and how much effort went into that. So
Yeah.
I just think the substance has it. So.
And even not just the ending, but the gradual transition
Oh,
throughout the
yeah.
movie of certain aspects.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, you'll understand when you do.
Yeah.
But next up, we got Annmarie's favorite award of the night, next to Best Picture, which would be film editing.
It truly is. So we have Annor, The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, and Wicked. Listen up, everyone. This is where my time. I do really think there is only 2 front runners in this race, and those 2 are Annor and Conclave. I think The Brutalist kind of trickles out a little bit. Emilia Perez, don't know why it's on here, but it is. It's fine. And then Wicked, I just think the pacing's really off for it. And as an editor myself, I think pacing is one of the most important things that you need to learn and nail down. And for Annor and Conclave, I never felt the runtime for either of those films. And so Sean Baker, I think it's his due. So I'm going to go either one of those, but I do think it's going to go to Annor.
Okay. I think what should win is Conclave, because I think the editing is so spot on for what it needs to do. Like, I mean, you have a bunch of old men in a room locked together talking about who's going to, run the show.
So
there.
Cool.
But the way that it's edited is so, like, it keeps you so engaged. It's very reminiscent a bit of Oppenheimer. Not quite on that same level as Jennifer Lane's, job with Oppenheimer, but it's got that same vibe to it where it's like, it's such a mundane, on the surface, a mundane kind of subject matter to the majority of the population, but you edit it so it just like seems so engaging, so like sometimes epic, sometimes like keeping that suspense, like especially that rubber band of suspense and disbelief we always talk about. It's so well done, and it's like that throughout the whole movie without any, very unapologetically, like that throughout the whole movie. So I will have to say, yes, Conclave should win. What will win is Annor. Yeah. I mean, and I have no problems with that. I think Annor was wonderful. It's great. It's one of the best movies of the year. And the editing is excellent in it, especially since it's Sean Baker, the director, who also edited the movie. Mm-hmm. That within itself is significant and impressive. I would not be, disappointed at all if he won, and I'd be very happy either way.
Yeah, and I think that's just a huge thing in editing too, when you direct and edit at the same time. I think that's so cool because you can move so much quicker and stuff because you know what will make editing faster. So like when we do stuff, I know what certain things will make a good line right away. And so I agree with you. Conclave is great. And if Conclave won, very happy. I'll go for it. But I think Annor has it in the bag too.
Now, next up here is costume design.
Yeah, so we have A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked.
I am going to have to go between Nosferatu and Wicked, because with Nosferatu, I mean, like, those costumes really just immerse you into the story significantly. But Wicked is excellent with its costume choices and costume design. So, you know what? I would love to say, because I want Nosferatu, if it could, win all the awards.
Yeah.
With no reason whatsoever, if there were no competition. Just give it awards, because it's wonderful. It's a great movie. I love it. But honestly, at the end of the day, what will win is Wicked. What should win is probably Wicked.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think Wicked is Glinda's dress and Alphaba's cape and everything like that, I think is such a standpoint and makes you kind of believe more in that world. And so I'm on the same boat. Wicked should win and probably will win.
Okay, one of my favorite awards up next is Cinematographer. That's a little inside joke between Annmarie and
Yes.
I.
So The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Maria, and Nosferatu. Listen, again, my bias is going to step in here. I want Dune Part 2 to win, and I think Dune Part 2 will win. I just think of that shot of the 3 sandworms coming out and just being like, oh my gosh, this is real. And truly, it's such a good movie. I do think The Brutalist and Nosferatu might be close, and if they want to be happy, but Dune Part 2 is what I really want.
You know, Nosferatu with the other awards ceremonies this year has really stepped up in cinematography a lot more than I think a lot of people initially had thought. It won one of the what was it, best cinematography for Golden, was it wasn't the Golden Globes?
Yeah.
Okay. And it just really stole the show quite a bit in a lot of areas we didn't think it would. And the cinematography, like I mentioned before, it really does a good job of blending all of that together where it works well with the editing and it works well with production design.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one scene in particular that stands out to me quite a bit where it works with the editing, where, you know, when Nicholas Holt's character first gets to Nosferatu's castle, and there's a really cool shot where we're taken into the dark and then come out like to the other side, and it's just so brilliantly done to make it seem all one-shotty, and it's just such a beautiful, masterfully done film. But we also got one of the best movies of the century going up against it, which has some of the best cinematography of all time. And I mean, I don't say that lightly, because Greg Fraser is like the best cinematographer working right now.
Yeah.
Right up there with Roger Deakins. And, you know, I mean, he is like, I've never seen cinematography ever like his. It does exactly what it needs to do always, like whether it be the Batman or whether it be, you know, the first Dune movie. I mean, the man is incredible. So if he doesn't win this, there's a big problem. But if we're to go to Nosferatu, I'd be back and forth. It'd be mixed feelings. But, you know, I think it will go to Dune, and it should go to Dune.
And if it doesn't, we get our pitchforks.
Yes.
No.
We got pitchforks and garlic. All right, so next up here is one I've actually seen all the nominations for recently.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, so Best Animated Feature Film.
Yeah, so we have Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, and The Wild Robot.
Wallace and Gromit.
Gromit, I'm sorry. Obviously, I haven't seen that one,
No.
Unfortunately. I would like Memoir of a Snail to win. I don't think it's going to win. I do think it's going to go to The Wild Robot.
Oh, really? You want Memoir of a Snail?
I do. I really liked it.
Okay. I mean, again, this is one of those like categories where like all of these movies I think are worthy of the award.
Yeah.
It's really hard to pick one over the other, but I think what will win is The Wild Robot. Mm-hmm. What I think should win is Flow.
Ooh.
I watched Flow recently, and based on the concept and all that, I'm like, oh, is it the whole gimmick is like there's no dialogue and that's it? Like, I've seen movies like that before, you know, and whatever. But when you watch this movie and immerse yourself into it, like the animation with the eyes and all the inflections that these animals make without any dialogue whatsoever, and how it blends with the animation, with the background, and you know, the cinematography they use in that movie, it's brilliant. It's truly brilliant, and it keeps you engaged. It makes you feel emotional about, you know, all these different animals and how they interact with each other, and make it feel realistic, even though obviously there's some fictitious moments that do happen. But the way that these animals interact with each other and just act generally amongst themselves, It really reminds you of how you would see like a cat in your own room, or like a dog walking across, or a dog being walked across the street, or anything of the sort, you know. So I will have to say Flo should win.
I'm putting it on my list. You sold me on it, so.
Yeah, but side note, Wallace and Gromit, while I don't think it, I think I would probably put that at closer to the bottom of these. Not by
Really?
much, but I will say it is a delightful, fun time.
Yeah.
And if you want just a fun laugh with a bunch of like clever humor and just good times all around, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, awesome. All right, so next up here is one of my favorite categories. We have writing for an original screenplay.
Yeah, so this one we have Annora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5th, and The Substance.
Now, I have to say I'm gonna have to go with Honora on this one. The when I went into this movie, I walked into the theater just like, oh, this is about a sex worker. You know, I'm expecting a lot of raunchy dialogue and, you know, nothing too out of the ordinary from that. And this movie strays away quite a bit from it, but also kind of harkens back to that raunchy dialogue style. But it's like at the same time, it's all geniusly written, where it's like a brilliant artistic message about society and like social class, demonstrated through like simplistic, argumentative, run of the mill dialogue. But like the way that it's written is just brilliant. So, and it keeps you engaged.
And it's written by the director and editor.
Yeah, Sean
like-
Baker, man of many hats.
Like, triple threat here.
Yeah, so honestly, this man had a vision, Sean Baker, and a vision starts on the page. So I think that Sean Baker should win and will win with Honora, because that movie just, that writing is impeccable.
I totally agree with you on this. I do think Honora will win. However, I would put The Brutalist very close. I would be happy with either or, pretty much. I feel like if any two films stand out a lot this year that people have talked about is Honora and The Brutalist. And so, but I just think like it's so, the writing of Honora is so different because, yeah, like you said, you walked in, you're like, this is going to be super raunchy. And it just it's such a compelling story and so different than what I thought. So I totally agree.
Strikes at the heartstrings.
Yeah.
So next up with writing is Best Adapted Screenplay.
All right, so we have A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. Again, it's fine. I don't know if Dune Part 2 could go on this, but
it should.
It should go on it. It's so stupid, honestly.
We talked about it to death, like where, you know, this is like the category for Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
Especially after reading the book, it's like, how did this man translate this to that so immaculately? And
I'm gonna cry. This is just, it just sucks.
It does.
How
suck.
else do you describe this? Because like there's some movies that don't really deserve to be on this list, but it's fine. I don't get the Academy. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what the cards were given here, so let's pick from them, even though they aren't worthy of Dune Part 2.
Well, listen, there's only one, in my opinion, that should win and will win, it's Conclave. Like you said, that movie kept my attention. It's about a bunch of guys sitting in a board. Like, that's just so cool. And I've never read the Conclave book, but I know a lot of people have, and they really loved it. And so I really do think that's the only truly winner in this situation.
Yeah, I don't even need to elaborate.
Perfect.
Like, I mean, like, I'm on the same boat as you there. Especially, I'll just say this quickly, though. It does, the way it handles faith, compared to a lot of stories nowadays that do so, where it's all about the negativity of it all. This one was brilliant in the way it adapted how the beauty of Catholicism while also demonstrating the obvious fallacies that are involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
Flaws and all, beauty and all.
Yeah.
That was Conclave. So I'm I'm glad that they were able to adapt it that way. And yeah, I'm right on the same boat as you.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to a little more acting situations here. We got actress in a supporting role.
We're getting to our top 6 nominations. All right. So we have, I apologize for mispronouncing any names, by the way. Monica Barbeau for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabel Rosalina for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Ethan, correct me.
Rossellini.
Perfect, thank you. I just learned this. Isabel, her mother won this award, so a lot of people are wanting her to win this award, which I think is super cool. She's not winning. I think this is one of the categories that I really don't know. This one, I really don't know. I can't really pinpoint anyone, but you're going to be shocked. I think it's going to Ariana Grande.
Really?
I really do think it's going to go to her. I will say, I think she's the best part of that Wicked film. She carries it, in my opinion. And yes, there's other, Monica's great. I think Felicity is great. Like Zoe, in this role, it's not as strong as I would think her other roles is, but I did enjoy her in the film. But I think Ariana Grande, I'm going to go wild card here.
You know what? I may be on the same boat as you with that.
Wow.
The more I think about and how kind of limited this nomination list is, like, I mean limited in the sense of, like, how small it is in the grand scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe Saldana probably would have been the original frontrunner, but again, with all the controversy with Emilia Perez, I'm not sure how much that has hindered her, because it seems like a lot of the award ceremonies have been still giving Zoe the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, she won the other week.
And she was great in it, you know? I mean, I can't disavow that. But Ariana Grande, I think out of all these people, had probably the most screen time, as well as the best performance as an actress, because they just... Ariana killed it. Like, she really handled this role with grace, and also nailed down the cadence of the character, down to like how she blinks and like how she holds herself, and it was really amazing to see, and I was really struck by that. So I would have to be on that same boat. I think she will win. I think I would like her to win.
Honestly, I'm happy with any of them winning too. Like,
Yeah.
I think they all put out good performances, but I want to go wild card on that. So
Amen. So next up here we got actor in a supporting role.
all right, so Yuri Borsol, Honora, Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice.
Yuri Borisov.
Thank you. I'm not good with it.
No, but I'm gonna have to say this one is going to Yuri Borisov for Honora.
Really?
Yeah, I think Kieran Culkin, great actor. I just don't think A Real Pain was really his Oscar performance.
All right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad performance, but it's just, compared to someone like Yuri Borisov, it's just, Yuri was, what he was able to do with such a initially mundane role and make it be one of the most likable roles by the end of the movie, I think was just so brilliant and caught me off guard quite a bit in all the best ways. All of these actors were phenomenal, but I mean, at the end of the day, Yuri Borisov really took the day, and I gotta say, he should win, and he will win.
Listen, I want him to win too, but I am not going to test faith. I think it's going to be Kieran Culkin. And I agree with you, but just everything in my mind is pointing in that direction with the SAG Awards and everything. So I'm not going to test fate. I'm going to stick with it.
All right, so next up, we have actress in a leading role.
So we have Cynthia Erivo, Wicked, Carla Sofia Gothson, Emilia Perez, Mikey Madison, Honora, Demi Moore, The Substance, and Fernando Torres, I'm Still Here.
All right, Gascon, Mickey Madison.
No, Mikey. It's Mikey.
Is it Mikey?
Mikey. I looked this up.
Oh, wow, okay.
She said Mikey Madison.
Okay, it keeps going back and forth from what I hear from people, but if it came from her, then okay.
Listen.
Whatever she says from the
Yes.
source. So, okay. And then Fernanda Torres.
Listen, you guys, there's only two options here. Mikey and Demi Moore. This one's really tough, but I think it's going to go to Demi Moore.
I will have to say, knowing the Oscars, Demi Moore.
Yeah.
Like, they really like legacy actors that make a comeback. And, you know, we saw that recently with Jamie Lee Curtis. So, well,
and she deserves it. She's great in this role, too. So.
Yeah, it's not like a situation where, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis, she gave a great performance, but it really wasn't her best role.
Mm-hmm.
And here, though, Demi Moore, this is probably her best role I've ever seen her in. But at the same time, you know, Mikey Manson, gosh, you know, it's like, how do you compete with that? It's just such a brilliant performance that's compelling.
It's really close. I went back and forth all day between these two, and I have to stick with Demi Moore just because, like you said, if you take away the performance, it's like the Oscar storyline for it, but I would be happy with either one.
Same. And I will have to say my heart goes with Mikey, and who will win, though, is Demi Moore.
Yeah.
Now, next up, we have actor in a leading role.
All right, so Adrian Brody, the Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet, a complete unknown, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes, Conclave, and Sebastian Stan, The Apprentice. This one, I don't know either. Like, this is another one where I don't think there's a clear frontrunner in my head.
Especially recently, where at SAG, where, you know, Timothy Chalamet decided to come out of nowhere and, you know, win the Best Actor award.
I know. I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, Paul Atreides won an award. Great.
He should win an award for that. Like,
listen, if Timothy wins for this one, I'm saying it was for Dune Part 2 and not a complete unknown.
Oh man, you'd be a terrible record keeper.
Yes.
But you know, I'm gonna have to say, between Adrian Brody and Ralph Fiennes, I think Timothy Chalamet. He gave a great performance, but you know, it should not have been this one. This one should have been his Paul Atreides performance in Dune Part 2, and I will say that till the day I die. And because of that, I don't think he's going to win. If it was Paul Atreides, I think he would win and should win. But gosh darn it, you know, I mean, Adrian Brody and Ralph Fiennes just gave career-topping performances. And with how Adrian Brody's been winning it, probably going to have to say him as the will win. Mm-hmm. Should win, I might put Ralph Fiennes.
That's so interesting. I'm going to go the opposite of you. I think should win Adrian Brody, but will win is Ralph Fiennes. I will say, if Timothy does win, it gives me the same sense as when Leo won for The Revenant, one of his worst roles. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. I don't like his role in that, where he should have won for something else. And so I just don't think A Complete Unknown is Timothy's Oscar-winning role. So, but we'll see. Crazier things have happened, so.
No, they haven't.
What do you mean?
No, okay. Now we're getting to the final two here. The awards of the night that typically go hand in hand, that sometimes don't go hand in hand.
Only 6 times have not gone on hand in hand, and 3 of them are since 2012 too. So
yeah. So first up here we got Best Directing: Jacques Audiard, Sean Baker, Brady Corbett, Coralie Fargett, and James Mangold.
You're all upset that there is not a one and only Denis Villeneuve on this list, and he should win. And you know, a part of me still thinks he will win because they'll just say we made a mistake, just like when Moonlight. You know, no, really, like let's be honest, this sucks, but. This is so hard because I know in my brain that whoever wins Best Directing has like a 90% chance of winning Best Picture. But I do think this might be the year when that doesn't happen. But to top, I think, you know what? This man deserves his triple threat win, Sean Baker.
Yep, I'm going to have to say that Sean Baker is going to win, and Sean Baker should win. The man is incredible. His work in all other facets of filmmaking really do complement what he's obviously the best at, which is directing.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, how can he not win? Like, seriously, how can he not win?
I don't know.
So, I mean, everyone I hear, great, phenomenal. I'm also surprised that Conclave isn't on here.
Yeah.
But whatever, Academy gonna Academy. So
The Academy's gonna the Academy. Honestly, yeah. Again, crazier things have happened. Maybe Denis comes out and gets his.
that's his white.
Give me my hope.
His due.
Yes.
His Dune.
You better nail Dune Part 3, Denis. I need you to win the Oscar.
He will be the Messiah.
He better be.
All right, and last but not least, the award of the night.
Ooh, all right. We got 10.
Best
Oh.
picture.
All right. I like it. Annora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. All right. There's only been 6 times in history when the Best Directing and Best Picture don't align. Argo, The Green Book. But, this is the year that could happen. I really do think there is 3 strong front runners here with Conclave, The Brutalist, and Annora. Of course, I want Dune Part 2 to win, but I just don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. I think this is not going to be one of the years where Best Director and Best Picture align. It's going to be Annora. I'm going to stick with it. I really think this is a strong movie. I think it has it. Again, I think The Brutalist and Conclave, both very deserving of the award. If they win that on Sunday night, I'm very happy for them. But I have to go with what I know, and it's got to be Annora.
I am on the same boat as you. I think Dune Part 2 should win.
Yes.
And I still think there's a significant slight chance that it could win.
I'll cry. I'll literally cry.
Because people are so confounded as to how Denis did not get a Best Director one. And, within the Academy itself, people were like, what? Did we vote this way? So, I mean, it's shocking. It's dumbfounding. But, I'm not... And the Academy does tend to compensate based on public outcry. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably going to stick with what you're going with, too, where Annora is going to win Best Picture. Mm-hmm. It's just such a wonderfully brilliant movie and really surprised me in all the best ways with what ended up being about, how they executed their message, the acting, directing, editing, writing, and a lot of that done by one person. Brilliant job. Shout out to you, Sean Baker, Mikey Madsen, Alex Coco, Samantha Kwan, all of y'all. Phenomenal job on Annora, and I think you'd be more than well deserving of the award of the night, Best Picture.
I'm shocked. I thought you were going to go with Conclave.
No, the only reason I would go with Conclave is, and keep in mind, I, for the most part, like Conclave over Annora. Not by much. It's all a tight race. But the main reason Conclave would win is mainly to do with the politics of certain aspects of it, which kind of are spoilers with some of the movies, kind of not. But they might compensate with Emilia Perez not being as liked as they thought it would be.
Yeah.
With that aspect in Conclave, where there's a little bending of certain situations. So, without giving too much away, that would be the only reason I would think Conclave would win. But I think Annora is just so undeniable that it's just, how could it lose?
Yeah.
But
how could it lose?
I don't know, maybe to Dune Part 2
Oh.
if they had their, minds right, but
Ethan every year records my reaction to Best Picture, and I'm telling you all right now, if Dune Part 2 wins, I will put that baby up on cassette tape faster than you can say Dune Part 2 won.
yes.
Yes. We'll see, though.
Like, for a second, right, the way you said Dune Part 2 won, I'm like, what, was there like a countdown 2-1? Like,
No.
Dune Part 2 won.
It won.
Yeah, okay, glad we were on the same page for quite a few of those, and a little surprised we were on the same page for quite a few of those. Yeah, we're usually very back and forth, and, with a lot of these nominations and what we think and all that. But I think our unity over Dune Part 2 triumphs all. So
You know what? Maybe Denis comes out and he just wins everything. Again, give me hope.
But with that, guys, the awards are almost here. The Oscars, the night all film fans are dying and waiting for, even if there are some occasional controversies here and there. I mean, as long as Emilia Perez does not go on a killing streak here
Man.
of wins, I mean, I think we're in for a good night.
Yes.
So, but hey, whatever you guys are thinking, whether you have different opinions than us, whether you guys were in sync with us, whether you think Dune Part 2 should win all the awards, I mean, my gosh, the possibilities are endless.
Am I having just flashbacks to maybe the future when Dune Part 3 comes out and Denis wins all the awards?
Yeah, she's got her blue Kool-Aid out and everything.
That was good.
But whatever you guys are thinking, let us know your takes on our tapes in those comments down below. And with that, Annmarie, I think that's about it.
Let's wrap it.
We're wrapping this. And guys, thank you for joining us on this episode of Cassette Take. We hope you haven't ejected thus far into the podcast. Whether you have or haven't, please do not forget to rewind. Also, we will be doing our podcast right after the awards for the Oscars, which will get up the day after, just to make sure that you guys are aware what happened, our thoughts immediately, because I'm sure you're dying to hear them.
Come check them back out. Come on.
So, be on the lookout for that. But with that, I've been Ethan.
I've been Annmarie.
And good luck.
Dune Messiah. Got it. Dune Messiah for Best Picture 2026.
Lisa now got it.
Lisa, I'll keep.